All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's market color session. I am Sabiabi, and I'll be taking the first half of today's analysis, which will be covering commodity currencies. By that, I mean a look at AUD USD, NZD USD, and USD CAD. Shortly after which, my colleague Demola is going to come give his analysis on indices as well. Before we proceed, I hope the trading week has been amazing to us all. We've been making some relevant profits from the market. Okay, so if you happen to have any questions at any point in time, please do well to ask me by leaving it in the chat box and I would answer them. Okay, so let us start off this analysis. We can look at AUD USD on the H4 time frame. So what are we seeing on this asset class? Look at how this broke through. Okay, so remember from our last analysis, which happened on Tuesday, we marked out a level point. We saw AUD USD had hit a certain resistance around here, but it happened to break through. You see the first time that it hit that resistance, reacted downward, and then came back to break through that resistance with so much force. And we had said one of two things was going to happen from this market. Either would see price outside, when we're analyzing this market price being somewhere around here, we said either price is going to sell back into this zone, give us a deeper retracement before we see that buy move continued, or price is going to break through, give a retest, more confirmation patterns, and buy more to the upside. And what did price do? Price broke through and bought. Now, the next resistance that we're looking at that could, have some impact and some reactions on the markets is all the way up here, somewhere around 0.67085. Okay, now for the sake of those of us who were not here on Tuesday, and those of us who do not have the indicators on the chart, let's just start on a fresh slit so that you can now take note of the price points that we'll be looking at during the course of this analysis and, take advantage of what we see together during the course of this session. Hello, Mr. Pips. How are you, sir? So AUD USD H4 time frame, this sunshine printed this move was for a long period of time, over 200 pips. So now that price is here. Now that price is here, what do I think is going to happen? One of two things. Sunshine printing means that people who bought this are taking profit or have taken profit, but that does not mean that it cannot dig higher. It can. However, it may take a bit more time. So following the rules of the all-weather, since this has happened, this retracement is expected. But where is it going to retrace into? It has retraced into what could serve as the first support level. And you're already seeing reactions from that place. That is 0.66387. If price does not continue buying from here, it is going to target the next level, which is 0.65739, right? And if price does not hold at this zone, at these levels from higher time frame, I'm going to delete them and draw fresh ones. So if price does not hold here, we're looking at 0.65355. And we may now continue to buy, except price now violates all of these zones to the downside before now say, okay, now what is the overall move showing here? Remember, when you're looking at this market, you want to pay attention to Donchan. You want to pay attention to also the indicators. So there's been a Donchan break of structure to the upside. Momentum is also facing upward because of the force with which this market moved. The trend is also, facing upward predominantly. And pullback is also facing upward. So everything is giving us a buy perspective. That's why if you want to wait and do nothing till the buy scenario fully meets up, we're just going to wait until price comes to, now price has already approached this level. So we could be looking for confirmation patterns around this particular zone first. And if it holds, we take our first shot. But if no confirmation pattern is formed here, then we're now going to be looking at this and this. So H4, H1 looked at, let us go down to the 5-minute time frame to mark out our most recent highs and lows. All right, so On the 5-minute time frame, what am I now doing? I'm pretty much marking out yesterday's high right here. Yesterday's high marked out. Yesterday's low marked out right here. Day before yesterday's high marked into today's price movement, and day before yesterday's low. Right? So what is the 5-minute time frame now showing to me on AUD USD? These guys are pretty much sloping down until I see a break above, a break and a retest above, before I now know that, okay, this zone is going to be holding. Now, this was the 1 hour time frame that we marked out. My guy, sorry, this USD broke through the H1 POI and traded into the 5-minute support level. What could have served as a support level? See how it tapped in, and it is now short off from that particular zone. So let's see M1. Have we seen some sort of confirmation on M1 that this level is going to hold? It's about to give us that confirmation, because we're now seeing price trading above. We'll wait to see a retest. By the time we see a retest, we can take our first shot on AUD USD. But remember that before taking this trade, you also want to pay attention to where the stop loss could be, because we don't want to have a wide stop loss and our take profits be, nothing to write home about. So if price eventually comes back to retest somewhere around here, our take profit would preferably be under the low of the 3 days data. So we're now looking at about 35 pips stop loss, right? And then where would our take profit now be? So if this continues, it's going to violate through all the zone and target the next level, which is somewhere around here. So targeting the next high, which is about 60 something pips. So that's a 1:2, so almost a 1:2, which is a fair trade. So if that confirmation aligns, we could be taking our first shot of AUD USD buy. Now looking at NZD USD on the H4 time frame, what do we see? Looking at what price has been doing since June, you could say this guy is predominantly to the downside. But now we have a most recent breakout structure to the upside, Sunshine BOS to the upside, Sunshine printed. Our trend is still predominantly down, but momentum and pullback are also sloping upward. So because of this, we're going to be seeing, all things being equal, a temporary retracement. Into what zones? These were from last analysis session, so let me take them out. Take them out, right? So we're able to mark out to today's zone. This was the high we saw on H4 as well, that also got violated for NZD USD. So this, and this, and now the 3 POIs. Let me delete that level I marked out on H4. Okay, so these are now the levels we're marking out. M5, what are we doing? Yesterday's high, low, day before yesterday's high, and low as well. Okay, so these are now the points of interest we're watching out for on NZUSD, 0.58230. The second one is between 0.57960 and 0.57915. And then the third also between this and this one. So we're watching to see what NZUSD does. And then finally, a look at USD CAD. So USD CAD played as we expected. Remember, we marked out this zone saying we're going to see this and a continuation downward. H1 time frame, price gave us a retracement into 1.38756. And from that retracement to where it started to sell from, how many pips did it do? Over 80 pips. So USD CAD delivered as expected. Remember we said it was going to continue to buy by breaking above, giving us a confirmation pattern for buy to move, or we see a confirmation for sell to occur, and we move along with that. And that's what we saw. price, I did give some sort of buy confirmation at first, but then when we saw a change in the characteristic patterns of what the chart was doing, I remember, yeah, I was going to say, I was about to call your name. So it did give a confirmation for a buy, so you're not wrong at all. But then when I saw the market started to give a different, characteristic pattern on the chart, I knew that the sell was, more in play now. It's part of the game. It's one of those things. So yes, price came, we tested this, and it sold. And that's why we always say that you see this sunshine indicator, it reprints. So it's not like a short thing that when you see it printed on the chart, then you're sure of a retracement. It does reprint. Okay, but let us now look at M5. I'm leaving the zones there because they are still pretty much valid. You see now, this period that we've entered in, number one, there won't be so much volume in the market. If trading is not something you even fully focus on for income, like 100%, you even want to withdraw a bit from trading and focus more on studying the markets. That's maybe from next week into the holidays. Then we resume January. But of course, there'll still only be image from the market. But just don't be going too heavy as you would on a norm. Okay, now these are the 4 points of interest marked out for M5 right now. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Exactly. Just scalp here and there. Don't be expecting long movements. All right. So what am I now looking at? Back to H1. Well, let's just start from H1 so we are all following. This is predominantly to the downside. We've now seen Dungeon break of structure also continue to the downside. We expected a retracement, although we wanted to buy the retracement back into the deeper retracement level, which was 1.39787. But instead, price just gave us that retracement into 1.38756, and it just continued to sell from here. But we still have a new sunshine printed, right? So we're still expecting more retracement, and we're just still going to draw that out. So, but this time around, we shouldn't jump in for the retracement buy. Let's wait for price to either come and retest the new zones. So I'll just adjust this a little. 1.39613, 1.40107, and the new level here would now be, this is our new zone, 1.38522. So when price eventually comes in here, let's look for patterns so that we're in sync with the overall move and not trying to take retracements so we don't get unnecessarily burned. The same thing for M5. If you're going to hold here, we can't look for confirmations now because it is clear that you just tapped in. So no confirmation for sure. But we'll now be looking for confirmations moving forward as the sessions move along into this zone and this zone as well. Okay. So thank you so much for giving me your attention and engaging to this point. If there are any questions or additions that you'd like to add, please do them in the chat box before we move into the second half. Stashisa. Carol. It is an O, no an Isha. The beginning is O. Is that Pips? This comment looks like okay, all right. So let me not take too much more time. Let's move into the next half of today's analysis. Thank you so much once again. We'll be back shortly, so don't go anywhere. Cheers and God bless.
Hello everyone and good morning. Welcome to the second part of today's market color. Hope we are good, hope we are fine, hope we are going well. It is going well. Very quickly we'll be looking at the US market, US equities market, where looking at US30, NAS100, S&P 500, and yeah, the three pair together. Pipstone like good morning, Oluwaseyi. I greet you boss. Greet you especially. All right, let's go straight to the chat. Yes, 30 and the rest have been very interesting throughout this week. They've been interesting pair to watch. All right, we've seen different drama all through the week. All right, all right. Coming for this dress, interesting. No. I mean, don't worry. A few dollars here and there, right? Don't cost you that much. Okay. All right. So this morning, price traded. In fact, let's do a recap of last week, right? We had some interesting stuff happening last week. So not last week, on Tuesday, sorry, right? We wanted to sell from this zone, and we had several, trade idea on Tuesday. The first one, which was to kind of buy from this other block, ish, and then, but then the idea was to sell from this zone, right, first, and then sell into this, like a sell to buy model you get. Sell into this for price to start pushing to the upside. And then for me, I was taking out on the first trade, I guess, probably the first two trades here. Mine, I had like a late entry. So price took me out of my asset, but it still poured down before. This was like 1:3, 1:4, right? Before it now finally did what? Bust to the upside. And even the upside was still kind of like a very good trade idea if you look at it from the higher time frame. That's 1 hour, you see sweep, and then other block tapped into this zone, like a pure box pattern, which sold off into this leg here, right? Into this other block. And then from the other block, boom, to the upside, broke. But I didn't take this trade again. In fact, I wasn't on the chart. After all the drama that happened around this zone, I just left the market and then went to do some other things, right? But then this was a very good like trade for those that were around that probably took the first or that used all the POI that we mentioned, right? Price tapped into this and then boom to the upside, giving us that very good bullish move, right? And then correcting the whole thing to say, okay, we are still in the bullish market, right? Market is still heavily bullish. And that being the case, we are going to be looking for buys this morning. I'm still doing my buy after taking partial. Okay, interesting. I've not been on my phone. FOMC was juicy. I've not been on my device at all to even check whatever it's going on. But that's quite interesting. Okay, okay. Beautiful. That's quite interesting. So price took out this high here, and then we know that we are extremely bullish again. Yeah, extremely bullish. Hey, boss. Now you try pass through. So let's look at this. This other block is a good place for price to enter, but there's no form of mitigation or any liquidity. So I think price will do something like engineered liquidity, something like that before we see. Usually, if there's no liquidity, we'll see like a form of engineered liquidity where you have something like this, boom, probably like this, boom, and then price take all of them out before it now continues. You get something like this. You will now serve as liquidity, like a form of engineered liquidity. That can happen. And price could as well just tap into this other block and then continue the journey to the upside. I mean, that's also a possibility in the market you get. That's a very, very strong possibility in this market this morning. There's a liquidity there already. Loss, okay. Let me look at the 15-minute time frame. Okay. 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 Then price coming back to okay. That's valid. Exactly. Makes sense. You do lower time frame. You do lower time frame trades, which is quite interesting. All right. This is very valid, right? This is very valid from M1. Yeah, M1. Yeah. This is very valid. So we can as well just wait for price to, come into this and then um play out. Then we will now see the continuation. But it's very evident in the markets that we are bullish. We are bullish. Everything is pointing to that. You can see structures change, and then which is quite good. So there's no point of looking out for sales again, except we see like a change of structure, a shift kind of. But then if I was on the chart, I would have caught this sell because I know for sure, especially once price closed below here, I'll have entered the sell to the downside, like a counter trade, but it's very, very short. It's very, usually if US30 is going to move, you won't see much story. One sell candle, it continue its movement. And then this expansion was kind of crazy. But I mean, it is what it is. I was on the chat. All right, so that's pretty much what we have going on for today. One thing we're just going to do is scale down to lower time frame, and from the lower time frame, we can now take, trade opportunity to the upside, since we are very, very much bullish. All right. Let's go to NAS100. NAS100, they are still, I don't even know what's going on with those guys. Right. They tapped into this. I also had this area marked up, but then price swept, took out liquidity, right? Take out everything before we saw that sell. So if I'd even been on the chart when this had happened, I've been stopped out, and I've been painful because I think probably just 10 or 20 pips. Price took everything out and then started, you see, movement. There's no sell, one single buy candle here. It was selling rapidly to the downside, right? But then also, let's look at the higher time frame. The higher time frame is like, it's looking as though there's a structural shift, but we cannot confirm that yet. We can't confirm that yet. But truly, it swept all through all of these lows, right? Looking as though there's a structure shift to the downside. So for this, I'll wait. I'm sure it's going to still buy. We're going to see some level of buy into this zone, at least into this zone, before we start seeing box pattern sell to the downside. But then there will be a form of, let me see, at 30 minutes time frame. Yeah, a form of buy to the upside that we would see this zone holding to the upside. By the time price start pushing into this zone, we can start saying, okay, we want to look out for sales, or we want to watch how price is going to react in that place. But then unlike US30, that is structurally bullish in terms of technical analysis, right? Technicals, it is bullish, right? Even fundamental supports it. So US100 will be watching it closely also, since all of them, they are really correlated. They are really, really correlated. So if US30 is buying, except something happens to, big tech companies in the US, that's what should stop them from also following that trend. But then this morning, I'll be watching it also very, very closely on the 30-minute time frame, at least buying into these zones, right? Buying into this zone, which is also quite significant, really, really significant if you ask me, right? All right. So on US 500 as S&P 500, we have almost the same thing with NAS100. We have almost the same thing with NAS100. So the same analysis, price is doing as though it is bearish, but then what we have here still makes it kind of bullish, right? Especially for S&P 500, right? we still have this low that wasn't swept, and then all of this served as inducement for price to come into, and then we'll see continuation to the upside. So both for US30 and S&P 500, I'll be looking out for buys, right? And then those buys is what I will ride on since I missed all of this good moves that happened here, right? I'll use that to at least console myself for today. That's pretty much what we have going. All right. Do we have any, addition, subtraction, or gray area? Olusheyi, Pips don't lie. Do you have any addition? Anything you want us to look into before we come back for 2:30 for that wrap? No, missed this good thing real. Interesting. All right, so no problem. So you can share your markup for the buy in the, what's it called now? In the group. Yes. Okay, you said that's a trap move. Which of them? Okay. For US, what's it called now? S&P 500, right? Okay, the current buy. Okay. Okay, that is going to be used as inducement now. Inducement during probably London session or when your market opens properly. We use all of this as inducement. Yeah. All right, no problem. All right. Hopefully for those in the group, we're going to see the markup, and then hopefully we're going to analyze it together, and then take trades from it. Make some good money today. All right. Thank you so much for joining. We'll see you again by 2 p.m. Nigerian time, and where we'll look at the outcome of this trade. Hopefully, we've gotten something really interesting from the market before then, or even during that period. I wish you all a profitable trading. Cheers, and God bless everyone. Take care of yourself. See you by 2.